want to be satiated. This is more than what you eat. It's all 9 ancestral tenets. It's how you sleep, eat, move, shield, connect, cold, sun, fight, and bond. Lean into the tenets, and you're already satiated before you eat. And then you won't overeat. And then you'll be lean, jacked, ripped, an energy machine. And this is what Liver King is having for dinner today. Of course, I'm starting with liver with breakfast, lunch, and dinner because liver is king. I got my bone marrow right here with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The whole beast is always going to have a whole beast protein shake. I got a pound of fresh ground ribeye. I got 4 fresh fertilized egg yolks. I got some protein. I got some more chicken liver on top of liver. I got my pork rind salad. I got my king right here with some raw testicle in it.
So hello everyone from the Kingdom of Thailand, and you guys would have seen by now the Liver King drama. I was actually going to cover this like 2 weeks ago, and then I thought like I'd wait a bit longer, see if there was any like significant fallout from this, which it kind of seems like there isn't for the Liver King in the long run, which we're going to talk about a bit later. But I just found this whole story like really fascinating, and the whole controversy like really fascinating, just because here is a guy who is just so extreme in his presentation for this whole like alpha male persona, someone who is basically advocating for a caveman lifestyle while looking like a caveman and saying that's why he looks so good at 45 years old. And of course what he's also doing is selling supplements, of course, which contain things like animal liver, only for that to all backfire when obviously it comes out he's actually on loads and loads of PEDs and different things like growth hormone, because of course he is. That was obvious to everyone. I'm not even in like the bodybuilding fitness community, but just looking at this guy's belly, you could pretty clearly see it had been affected by some sort of like steroid. It's really common to see a physique like his, especially around the area, but maybe because he's quite a small man, he's like 5'7", it didn't appear as obvious. And of course, when people asked him, are you on these types of supplements? Are you on steroids and stuff like that? Are you on growth hormone? He would flat out deny it and just say he eats a diet of liver. So I like this story because I think his success says so much about like where we are and so much about like where the internet is in the age of like these alpha male grifters, where it kind of doesn't even matter if they're good people anymore. The fact of them being so controversial and getting loads of fame, and then becoming even more controversial with the Liver King's steroid use, seems to not really matter anymore. Like, you have people like Elon Musk, of course you have people like Andrew Tate, and despite him being so gross and so many people hating him, then for his fame, he's entering like the kind of YouTube mainstream, boxing someone like Jake Paul. It seems like people don't really care. Like, once you become a celebrity, for good or bad, you are in the celebrity club and people care about you. And it kind of also reminds me of like Salt Bae. Can we not have eccentric people with eccentric public personas, and for them to also be like good people? Like, Salt Bae treats his employees like absolute garbage. I made a video on that like a year ago, and now it turns out the Liver King is also like a massive liar while also promoting this really unhealthy lifestyle. The only thing I will say, from my knowledge, the Liver King, despite being like an obvious grifter in some ways, doesn't seem to be like the most terrible person out of everyone I've covered. So all of that coming up for you. Before we go any further, please like the video, and in the comments, please let me know who is the worst like fitness influencer or fitness grifter. Of course, you get like so many people advertised to you on YouTube if you just look up like one ab workout or something like that. So let me know down in the comments. Also, follow me on social media at the Kavernacle on Twitter and on Instagram. And on Instagram is where I'm posting all about my travels. That stuff is all saved in my highlight reels, so you can go through them, check out what I've been doing over the last 3 or so months. And if you care about that even more, please consider becoming a patron. I want to build up as many $1 to $3 patrons as possible, and the benefits of that are getting access to the Discord server and getting my Nintendo Switch friend code. But also I'm posting exclusive travel content there. There's one video up at the moment. I have recorded my one about Cambodia. I'm super busy before Christmas, so it's not going to be up before then, but hopefully in the near future. So if you care about any of that stuff, please check it out. Also check out the subreddit and check out my second channel. Everything is down in the description. So pretty much this whole video is going to be talking about the rise and I guess the relative downfall of the Liver King. But before we go into everything to do with him, I thought I'd talk about myself in relation to like fitness and maybe like the appeal of fitness influencers. Now, I do get a fair few comments calling me like fat from time to time, which I don't really understand. And pretty much when someone calls me fat, I just say, you're projecting your own insecurities on me. I'm not insecure about my body. I'm also not an overweight person as well. Pretty much just tell them, go check out my Instagram or something, and usually they delete the comment after that. People have said the beard makes me look bigger than I am. But anyway, speaking of like body image, I'm someone who's had a bit of a struggle with my body image. Not severe, I'm not gonna pretend it's been like crippling or anything like that. But I have had my struggles in terms of like exercise. I realized later as well, I developed some sort of OCD when I was like 18, 19, which really didn't help. But I've basically been exercising about 3+ times a week since I was 18. I pretty much have always been athletic, always been sporty, played like all the sports in school. I played football my whole life. I still play it a lot. I've lifted weights pretty much all the time since I was 18. I've been massive into running as well. That was probably one of the biggest ones for me. But I think in part due to the OCD, but in part due to like body image issues, I became like really obsessed with exercise, and I always wanted to make my physique look really, really good. And I would always feel bad when I go through certain periods of my life. Like when I was playing football at semi-pro level, I was really, really skinny and in really good shape. But then I started thinking about like, oh, my arm muscles are basically wearing away because I'm not eating enough. And then I felt terrible about that. And then now I look at photos of me from that period, I'm like, why did I feel bad about that? I look really good. I wish I looked like that now. And then I have periods where I was bigger, where I focused more on weights. And then I would think I'm not skinny enough. And then I look at photos from that period and I'm like, why did you think you looked bad? And I was just like, it's all in my head that I thought I didn't, meet the ideal standards. But I guess as a society, especially for men, and I know it's way worse for women with body image stuff, but for men, it's always like we get fed these like influencers, these actors who look insanely jacked. And someone like Chris Pratt, for example, who historically was quite big, and then he got really jacked for Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's pretty obvious he was using performance-enhancing drugs to make that drastic change. But then he comes out and says it's just diet and exercise. And that makes all of us feel rubbish about ourselves because we're like, well, Chris Pratt did it, and look at him before and look at him after, then we should all be able to do that. Of course, we don't have the same financial means or the personal trainers, but in theory, we can do that without taking performance-enhancing drugs. And because it's a real taboo subject, most celebrities don't say they are and they deny it, when they clearly are on them, including someone like Zac Efron, who clearly has been taking them for years. He still says he doesn't take them. And for a lot of people, they might take that at face value, and then you feel kind of rubbish about yourself. And thankfully, as I've gotten older, I've been more accepting of my body. And actually, as I've been traveling a lot this year, I lived in Spain for 3 months, been traveling already for 3 months, and going to travel for another 4 months, I can't really exercise. The first time in my life, I have gone a significant period without exercising, and it's been so helpful to me just to be comfortable in my body and not be thinking about like, how do I gain mass or lose weight? I'm just like living my life and not worrying about that stuff. And I think going forward, it's going to be so beneficial to me. I'm going to take it more easy when it comes to exercise and not obsess about doing like 5 workouts a week and stuff. And the reason I'm saying that as someone who's kind of struggled with this body image, someone like the Liver King kind of appeals to people who do feel rubbish and kind of feel like this celebrity physique is unattainable because he promotes something different. He says, well, you don't need performance enhancing drugs. Just eat this heavily meat-based diet and work out like him, and you can look like that even when you're 45 years old. How amazing. But look, of course, you do have to be quite naive to buy into the Liver King, but when you are affected by male body image standards, you can fall into a trap into believing these sorts of things, believing that you can achieve this insane body through like basic workouts or basic diets and through not taking supplements or having loads of money for personal trainers. Now, of course, anyone who's into fitness would tell you that the Liver King was clearly lying from the start, but then loads of people still bought into this, making him a massive viral star. Now, there was a video that came out 2 weeks ago from More Plates, More Dates, who exposed the Liver King, basically showed us his blood work, showed us all the supplements he was on, showed us all the performance-enhancing drugs he was on. Liver King even reached out to the guy making this video in the past, asking if he could be a consultant on him on what like performance-enhancing drugs he could actually use. And also, go watch the video. But what I found funny is that in real life, and not for social media, the Liver King actually has a pretty good diet as well, because most people into bodybuilding actually do have good diets which don't revolve around eating loads of bacon and liver and testicles. But even that part of him is just put on for social media. So you guys might be wondering, like, who is the Liver King? Who is this guy? I don't even know what you're talking about. So to start with, I'm just going to show you a couple videos that, you know, he would post on social media. They all follow like a similar pattern of just him showing like what he's eating, loads and loads of liver, loads and loads of meat, and loads of his own supplements, which revolve around things like liver and different animal organs you wouldn't traditionally eat.
I always bring these supplements when I'm on vacation or traveling. You guys already know that when I'm at home, I eat the real McCoy, right? I eat raw liver that's grass-fed, grass-finished, straight from my farm. I eat the bone marrow right out of the femur. But if I'm on vacation or traveling and if I can't bring the real thing, this is too important to not take, so I always take this. I got Liver King concoction with extra maple syrup because I earned it. I got a whole beef protein shake. I got some poached eggs. I got some carbs. I got some protein. I got some protein. I got some carbs. What up, Primals? We just finished 24 hours of fasting. And so to break this fast, we treated ourselves to a simulated successful hunt. We did 10 sets of 50 max effort push-ups, and they were badass blood-burning sets. And this is how you know you earned it. And this is how you honor the struggle of our early ancestors. This is how you honor your own genetic fitness so that you can express your highest form. This is how everything tastes better. This is how you look better. This is how you feel better. This is how you function better. And this is how you become better. Liver King here, and this is what I'm having for my Monday dinner. We got liver with breakfast, lunch, and dinner because liver is king. We got some femur bones, not human bones, cow bones. We're gonna get the pure marrow right out of it. And with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we're always gonna have a whole beast protein shake. We got a Liver King bar already crunched up in there. These Liver King bars are the bomb. We got some carnivore steaks. We got a testicle, because why would you eat a vegetable when you can devour a testicle? We got some beast meatballs in here. It's a blend of organs. And we got the salad, because no dinner would be complete without the salad. That's my pork rind salad.
So from those videos, I can kind of see the appeal in following this guy. Sometimes I used to watch some bodybuilding YouTubers just to see how massive their meals were, like eating like 10,000 calories a day. And you have people like Eddie Hall, who would just be the most unhealthy guy, eating like loads of cheesecake. But it was kind of interesting. So the Liver King could kind of fulfill that niche, but then to a lot of us, we just think it's stupid. This whole like caveman persona, talking about primals and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. It's maybe fun to watch. We don't actually believe him, but the problem being is he says he made like $10 million a year or just on things like supplements. So clearly people are believing him, and his whole image of I am natural and it's all through eating liver and things like that is working because so many people believe him and feel like they can look like him if they just follow his workout programs and more specifically his diet. So GQ did a profile of him in May this year before this whole drama. So I just want to read some of it to show you like what he was saying about himself and who he really is in the first place. So in the Court of the Liver King by Madeline Aguilar, talking about the Liver King's outfits where he pretty much never wears a shirt. A shirt would only muffle the Liver King's message that the modern world has made men unconscionably soft and that the only way to fight back is by living more like our earliest, most jacked ancestors. The way to accomplish this, according to the Liver King, is by following his 9 ancestral tenets, doing the most brutal workouts imaginable, and above all, eating more raw liver. It's a message the 45-year-old influencer, supplement brand owner, and self-styled CEO of the Ancestral Lifestyle, born Brian Johnson, wants to share with the world. So when questioned about like steroid use, he'd say stuff like, I don't touch the stuff, the Liver King told me, unfazed, adding that he's grateful to Joe Rogan for bringing me into the ecosystem and he'd love to go on the podcast someday. The Liver King is open about the fact his content is geared almost exclusively towards men. People say, how come you don't model, teach, preach, and fight for women? Listen, I can't help you with that, he shrugged. So we've been talking about the supplements. So he's the CEO of Ancestral Supplements, and if you go on the page, it says, Raise to Thrive, our company was built on the foundation of bringing people to strength, health, and happiness through the ancestral lifestyle. We believe that this way of living is the key to unlocking our full primal potential. That if you go through like various supplements, you have like grass-fed beef liver, loads of different organs. So if you just want like a starter pack, so the ancestral starter pack, beef liver, beef organs, bone, and marrow are the most effective foods to support overall health and well-being. The modern diet has all but eliminated these dense vital nutrients from our diet. There's no better way to experience the benefits of organ supplements than with our starter pack. You can get that for $124. Doesn't really seem like a lot for that amount of money, but I guess that's what the Liver King is selling. So if you watch the Liver King's videos, he's always eating his own supplements, and he's also eating a ton of red meat. I don't need to tell most people that eating loads and loads of red meat is terrible for your body. It's terrible for your heart. It's really bad for your cholesterol. But what was good about the exposed video is that it showed that typically this guy doesn't actually eat like this. He eats a lot of healthier foods than just eating red meat all the time. But that is what he's selling his audience with his image. Now, he was actually confronted about this on Jake Paul's podcast. They're like, do you just eat this stuff all the time? Isn't it like really, really bad for you? And this was his response.
Are there actual hard medical downfalls or shortcomings to this diet? Higher cholesterol, are there things that you have to actively do to combat those?
Yeah, this is all rubbish. Right, like the
idea of
thing.
Tracking cholesterol.
All of this stuff is hilarious. You could make that face if you want.
Well, no.
Let me tell you what cholesterol is.
But that's because that kind of shits on the face of.
Sure, yeah, of course it does. But you stand in line, right? You buy that vegetables are healthy. You buy that you should be wearing a shirt. Right, you buy that you should refer to yourself in the first person.
I was gonna ask you this.
You buy that cholesterol has something to do with heart. Right, so this cracks me up when people are like, "Let me look at your cholesterol." Right, it's how do you feel? Right, if you got a kicking ass libido, and you're kicking ass in life, you give a what your cholesterol is. I don't do any blood testing. I don't know what my cholesterol is.
So this is all an image for this guy because he does know what his cholesterol is. That's what the whole exposed video is about. He does have a lot of people on his team working with him to ensure that he is healthy. And like I said, he doesn't actually normally eat the diet you see on social media. Sure, he probably does eat it for some meals, but he does actually eat a pretty good diet because this guy does work insanely hard on his physique, but he also does use a load of performance enhancing drugs to achieve that physique, but that didn't fit into his caveman image. But just like a lot of these grifters, cavemen didn't just eat red meat all the time. This is again a myth that an article about this guy went into. So I just want to read this quickly, talking about our ancestors' diets and talking about the bad things about eating a diet like the Liver King acted like he ate. So meat-heavy diets have gained in popularity in recent years thanks to Johnson and a number of other fitness influencers, but experts say the characterization of an ancestral diet as consisting largely or solely of meat is misleading and inaccurate. Archaeological evidence shows that humans evolved to eat a wide variety of foods, including many high-carbohydrate foods like fruits, vegetables, and starchy plants and honey. And while modern hunter-gatherer societies that exist today include animals in their diets, they also tend to consume a lot of fiber and carbs with some rare exceptions. Just talking more about all-meat diets, on TikTok and elsewhere, fitness influencers have been touting the near or all-meat carnivore diets for years, but Nancy Oliveira said there's almost no published research supporting a carnivore diet. A carnivore diet cuts out all sources of fiber, which can lead to constipation and detrimentally affect a person's gut microbiome. The communities of trillions of microbes that live in our digestive tracts and influence our health. Many people are trying to cut out processed foods from their diets, which can certainly improve your health. Red meats like animal organs are great sources of iron and can be very nutritious, but the body benefits from a range of different fruits, vegetables, and fibers. She said that if someone came to her and expressed interest in eating nothing but meat, she would suggest instead they try the paleo diet, which includes fish, eggs, and meat, but also allows fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and other plants. So Jack Gilbert, the faculty director at the University of Chicago's Microbiome Center, spoke about all meat diets and said, physiologically, it would be an immensely bad idea, a terribly, terribly bad idea. Gilbert has done extensive research on how the trillions of microbes in our guts digest food, and the look on his face when I told him about the all beef diet was unamused. You wouldn't be able to regulate your hormone levels, you'd enter into cardiac issues due to alterations in cell receptors, and he was talking about this in regards to Michaela Peterson, and he said, if she does not die of colon cancer or some other severe cardiometabolic disease, the life I can't imagine. But obviously, that's just a science to back up both why our ancestors didn't just eat red meat all the time and why eating a diet mainly consisting of red meat it's actually really, really terrible for you, and you shouldn't do it, especially for someone like Jordan Peterson, who claims to have done it himself when he's been really, really ill in the past. It just shows you, to the Liver King, it was about this mythicized image, about inventing this image of our ancestors just eating red meat raw all the time, and about, you know, having this red meat diet and how beneficial it can be for us, when this guy didn't even do it himself, because he probably knew it is terrible for you. And like he was saying to Jake Paul, saying all this stuff about like he doesn't check, he does really check. Like I said, go check out that video from More Plates, More Dates, where he talks about all this stuff. So of course, More Plates, More Dates exposed the Liver King to everyone, and the Liver King actually came out and responded to it. But before we talk about that, I just asked my bodybuilding friend, who is a competitive bodybuilder, I asked him what did he think of the Liver King, and what did people in that community think of the Liver King before he was exposed. So this is one of my oldest friends, and we took very different paths in life. I studied politics at university, and he studied the blade. He literally studied the blade. He joined the Queen's Guard. He guarded Buckingham Palace. He wore one of those big fur hats, and he actually guarded the Queen and Donald Trump. And now he does competitive bodybuilding. I'm going to throw up his social media on the screen at some point, and also in the description. So if you are interested in bodybuilding, please check out his page. And this is what he had to say about the Liver King.
So, I mean, my thoughts is when he was going around preaching about this ancestral life and or lifestyle, and how he was all natural and things like that, it was from the cuff. Everybody could tell he was on growth hormone, or at least some form of steroid, because you cannot get that dense of a look on a physique without using steroids. The reason I say growth hormone in particular is because when it merges with the cells in your gut where you inject it, that's when it can cause pot belly abs. So it looks like somebody's got a bigger belly, but it's just abs. So exactly what he had. And it was just so obvious. He was like, everyone in the bodybuilding community knew that he was not natural at all. Eating what he ate as well. Yes, it is full of protein and vitamins, aminos, things like that. Obviously, a lot of red meat is very high in good quality protein and amino acids. And things like creatine too. The only problem is that you can't get a physique like that just through eating protein alone, even if it is a lot, because there is a certain amount of protein that your body could take to grow. But if you go over that limit, then it's not going to do anything. It's going to have the complete reverse effect. And your body's not going to be able to digest it properly. And then there'll be protein sitting in that will turn into fat. And then it's like what he was doing was just completely lying and marketing himself to make money. I kind of take my hat off to him for the amount of business and name he'd made for himself, because it's quite smart in itself. But then again, he was lying to a wide audience about like how he was all natural and then just preaching this lifestyle. We don't care about that stuff. Why did you lie about being natural when you're on gear? Like, that's got nothing to do with it. And his apology was just terrible, because he tried gaslighting people. He tried making excuse. It was just excuse after excuse. There was no genuine apology there. Nobody in the bodybuilding community or in the fitness industry actually likes him.
So obviously I'm not in the bodybuilding community, but thank you, Morgan, there outlining what they thought of the Liver King from the get-go, because of course in the bodybuilding community loads of people use performance enhancing drugs, and my friend Morgan there, he does as well, and he's pretty open about it as well. And if you are interested in any of that stuff, if you are into bodybuilding as well and want to learn from someone who has a lot of knowledge in this, of course he was also in the British Army for years and years, and he does know his stuff, please consider giving him a follow. Now Morgan did mention the apology video in that little clip there. And like the bodybuilding community all knew, this guy was taking performance enhancing drugs, and because of the video, Liver King had to come out and address it. But basically what he says is that, you know, he messed up, he lied, but he was doing this to promote a version of masculinity that could appeal to so many men going through mental health problems. Because as we all know, what we need to address the mental health crisis, particularly in men, is give them this guy who looks like a caveman promoting red meat heavy diets and exercise to sell supplements to you. Only he can save the men of the world. So let's play a couple clips from this video.
Yes, I've done steroids, and yes, I am on steroids, monitored and managed by a trained hormone clinician. Liver King, the public figure, was an experiment to spread the message, to bring awareness. Our people are hurting at record rates with depression, autoimmune, anxiety, infertility, low ambition in life. Our young men are hurting the most, feeling lost, weak, and submissive. So I made it my job to model, teach, and preach a simple, elegant solution called ancestral living, the 9 ancestral tenets, so our people no longer have to suffer, so we can collectively express our highest and most dominant form. This is my fight. This is why I exist. While spreading the message, I've been on several podcasts, and when asked if I've ever taken steroids, I've always said no. I don't touch this stuff, not gonna touch this stuff, never touch this stuff. I've convinced myself that this had nothing to do with the ancestral message. I convinced myself that I'm not a competitive athlete of any kind, so who the f am I cheating? I convinced myself that this topic was a placeholder for a far more important conversation. I convinced myself that this would overshadow the 36 years of working out, usually twice a day, without PEDs. I've convinced myself that this was the vocal minority, usually in the fitness category, driving to an unproductive conversation. And I had convinced myself that this would be the wrong message to send to the 15-year-old boys. So I continually dismissed it, and I dug myself into a bigger and deeper hole. I have only myself to blame.
But that is just absolutely hilarious that he's deflecting and acting like he didn't think it was a big deal because he had a higher purpose in life to give us the ancestral tenets and to save those 15-year-old boys by making them feel like they can look like that while not taking performance-enhancing drugs. And obviously, the massive problem, which he doesn't really address, is you made this into an insanely lucrative business. Like he was saying before, he was apparently rich anyway, but then you started making $10 million a year based on selling these supplements to people, claiming they could help give you a body just like yours. I don't think anyone would really care about this guy if he was open from the get-go that he uses performance-enhancing drugs while eating liver, because I think part of his appeal to people was him just having this crazy diet while looking the way he does, eating raw meat, right? I think he would still have been quite successful on social media without lying, but the lying was part of it because it made him a lot of money. That's why people hate him. But like I was saying at the start of the video, it seems not to matter anymore. Like, he comes out, he acknowledges the controversy, deflects, people are roasting him in the comments, but then he just moves on like nothing happened. And apparently, according to him, his social media profiles have actually grown since after this controversy because it's given him more exposure. He released a video on the 4th of December saying behind the scenes with his chef, and people in the comments are roasting him saying the chef is cool, introduce us to the pharmacist though, just as important. The only thing that's real on this channel is Chef Lionel's skills. I think Chef Lionel forgot to add the secret sauce. Chef Lionel needs his own channel. I can't believe they're still uploading content like nothing happened. I can't believe it either. I just went on his Instagram quick to see what he was posting about. Loads and loads of stories.
Good morning, Primals. Here's my win. We've gained over 300,000 new followers just on one platform. The reason why this is so important to me is that so many of these Primals never knew that liver is king. If you eat liver, this is going to give you more drive, more determination, more energy, more of the currency of life that enables you to take massive action and drive to a better life. So I'm grateful for this. The storm always has silver linings. And now it's prime time to launch.
Primals, primals, primals. This is what Liver King and my world-class social media team and my Liver Queen, this is what we're having for dinner today. I have a Liver King prime rib. I got Liver King crab. Of course, I have raw liver and raw bone marrow with breakfast, lunch, and dinner because liver is king. I got some king bacon. I got some more cooked bone marrow, and I got bone marrow butter.
So he's just posting through it, and he's posting the content people want. He's posting his interview on Piers Morgan of him eating raw liver. He's posting his massive red meat diet, basically, with his wife and his crew and stuff. Because like I said, I think people just want to see that stuff above all else. They just want to see this weird man eat raw meat and raw testicles. Because like I was saying, as a social media character, I think he would have been fine without the supplements, and by being honest about him using performance enhancing drugs, especially as someone who's 45 years old, right? Like, if he said, I didn't used to use them, then I hit a certain age, I could no longer get the results I want, so I started using them along with eating this heavily liver-based diet. But this guy is just a complete fraud. There's nothing genuine about him, but he probably does realize if he just keeps posting, he has a new audience now of people who found out who he is. Just keep posting, eating raw meat and stuff like that, and I guess you'll keep growing, and maybe people will keep buying the supplements, although they shouldn't, because clearly there's no evidence that having a diet like him does you any favors without using performance enhancing drugs. But like I also said, he doesn't actually eat that diet most of the time anyway. So before we talk about like why this guy has gained such appeal, there was a good article on Vice talking about the rise of like this more extreme grifters like Andrew Tate or someone like the Liver King, and why they now have this certain appeal, even though they're so ridiculous. So The Strange Allure of Extreme Alpha Male Influencers by Tom Usher. These figureheads often come across as ordinary guys with extraordinary lives, explains Max Cotton, ex-MMA fighter and founder of online PT business Another Round. There's an element of, I could have what they have with the right mindset. I also think the values and behaviors these alphas expound are often really aligned with the hustle and bro culture, and then politically as well, often these alpha male influencers are very right-wing, outspoken, anti-woke, and that resonates with a lot of men. Sociology researcher Annie Kelly did her PhD in digital anti-feminism and the far right, and is now doing a postdoc on the impact of the internet on conspiracy theories. She says, there is an effect on social media in which the most radical, hardline rhetoric rises to the top because it drives so much engagement. I think the various meat-only diet plans are a bit like a nutritional equivalent of the social media effect on this rhetoric. They're extreme, relatively uncomplicated, and a little subversive and outrageous in contrast to conventional wisdom about nutrition. People find that attractive, even if they have no intention of picking it up themselves, and so it drives engagement. I like some of the things addressed in that piece, just talking about like how extreme they are, and how because they're polarizing, that drives engagement, because love them or hate them, you're going to be talking about them, and that's why they become famous in the first place. And like the Liver King was even saying on his Instagram story today, he's saying like, I have 300,000 new followers, so maybe the controversy has actually been good for me, because now more people follow me and now more people are going to be listening to my message. And yeah, maybe I did lie to sell supplements, but I can still go around, do the same shtick, do the same thing about eating liver, and people will still lap it up. But there's so many different things I've covered which this stuff reminds me of. It reminds me of like the Sigma male stuff that people take really seriously. It reminds me of other things that prey on people's like either fragile masculinity or elements of like toxic masculinity in terms of like being a man's man, being an alpha male, going back to our idealized past to live a life that is inherently like better than what the modern world can give us. And I think what a lot of people who follow these types of personalities believe is that they're getting some like forbidden knowledge, and they're rejecting like established science, because most of us know eating mostly red meat is pretty terrible for you. Even if you do have a very active lifestyle, there are lots of problems that will come from eating that diet in the future, even if it doesn't manifest straight away. But to these people, they're like, well, you've been fed lies your whole life. The scientists, they don't know what they're talking about, or they want to keep you down, or they're infected with like left-wing biases and they don't want men to be men. We found this from the Liver King, and now we're living our best lives. And maybe anecdotally, someone follows the Liver King's advice and does get more jacked or does start working out more and look better, and then they think this guy has all the answers to their problems. And it feels like to a lot of people, being controversial now is a good thing, because it shows you're angering the right people, and normally that's like left-wing people, and you're speaking truth to apparent power by saying all these contrarian things. I think a lot of dumb people just like to feel smart, and that's why they listen to people like the Liver King. And like I outlined near the start of the video, a lot of us as men and teenagers, we do go through struggles with our body image, not because we necessarily look bad, not because we don't look healthy, because we do not look like these figures who are often held up in our society as what a real man looks like. And for some, it's pretty obvious. Like, I don't want to look like Zac Efron, for example. But then you have someone like Chris Pratt, or you have someone like Chris Hemsworth, who in my opinion, both are using performance enhancing drugs to some degree, and we feel like that's achievable even though we don't have the same money as them, or we don't have access to these performance enhancing drugs to be used in a safe manner. I mean, we can all get them, but they can be really dangerous for you as well. There's a reason why in the UK a lot of them are illegal. Thought I'd talk about it because it's a really interesting story. I am into fitness myself, but not really into the fitness community. But it's pretty clear the success of people like the Liver King are a pretty good indictment of where we are as men, that so many of us either find him pretty fascinating, or we actually buy into his lies and believe that he achieved this body at 45 without using performance enhancing drugs, and he had discovered a new secret weapon into developing a good physique, and that is eating raw meat, just like our ancestors apparently did for every single meal. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.